Pickup trucks, the ultimate workhorses built to handle just about anything. But in today's world, that's not always the case. Modern pickups come with increasingly complex designs, especially under the hood, where more powerful engines must also meet stricter emission standards. Choosing the right truck isn't as simple as it used to be, and some engines can be so costly to maintain that they leave owners struggling financially. To help you navigate the risks, we've put together a list of pickup truck engines that bankrupt owners. Let's take a look. Number 6. Toyota Tundra 3.5 twin-turbo V6. When Toyota redesigned its full-size truck a couple of years ago, it brought radical changes under the hood. The good old 5.7-liter V8 was gone, replaced with an all-new twin-turbo V6 engine. The folks were amazed with its power and torque, as well as improved efficiency. But the question remained, would the new V6 be able to fill the shoes of the old V8 in terms of reliability and durability? It turned out that's not the case. The new twin-turbo V6 quickly became one of the most problematic new truck engines on the market, with problems like engine knocking, rough running, failure to start, and stalling occurring at very low mileage. After inspection, Toyota discovered a massive fault in the machining process that left debris within the internals of the engine, which proved to be fatal for the new turbo engine. Eventually, Toyota recalled more than 100,000 engines and replaced them with new ones. But it turns out Toyota didn't convince the crowd about the fix. Suspicions about the overall longevity and long-term reliability are still there, so big that most Toyota dealers don't accept trade-ins of these relatively new trucks. Owners are now stuck with trucks that have vulnerable engines, and God knows how many other issues could occur once the warranty expires, potentially leading to massive repairs and crazy high maintenance costs. Number 5. Ford F-150 2.7 V6 EcoBoost. Ford came to the idea to turbocharge its full-size pickup way before Toyota, and of course, it also went through massive reliability issues. Introduced in 2015 for the F-150, this V6 was supposed to offer a good balance between power and efficiency, but it mostly brought reliability concerns. So if you're looking for a used F-150 with this engine, stay away from models produced between 2015 and 2017. These versions are notorious for issues like timing chain stretch, carbon buildup, and other issues that typically come with direct injection. But probably the biggest problem during these early years was head gasket failure, which would lead to coolant leaks and then, of course, complete engine failure. Also, early variants of the engine used a plastic oil pan, which wasn't sealed properly, causing oil leaks over time. Some owners also reported cam phaser issues, but that issue is more common with 3.5-liter engines. Thankfully, Ford engineers solved most of these issues over time, so newer models are a much safer pick. However, although generally more reliable, they're still far from perfect. Turbocharger problems and high-pressure fuel pump failures are still common and can lead to costly repairs and more often visits to dealers than you would expect from an engine that was initially designed to cut running costs, not the opposite. Number 4. Ram 1500 EcoDiesel. Truck makers have been in pursuit of better fuel efficiency for decades, and at one point, about a decade ago, the Big Three started introducing diesel engines to the half-ton pickup segment. Ram was one of the front-runners, with its 3-liter 6-cylinder turbo diesel designed by the Italian engine maker VM Motori. At first, it seemed like they solved the puzzle. The engine was very efficient and pretty generous with torque, perfect for work. But problems occurred soon after. The engine faced a number of reliability issues. Engines produced between 2014 and 2019 were problematic in particular, and are still the ones to avoid on the used truck market. EGR cooler failures have been some of the most common issues, leading to coolant leaks, which further led to engine overheating and complete failure. In 2019, Ram had to recall over 100,000 EcoDiesel models due to this defect. And this wasn't the only defect of early models. Bearing failures were common too. Still, probably the biggest issue was with the high-pressure fuel pump, particularly in newer models with the infamous CP4 pump, notorious for sending metal shavings through the fuel system, which would typically lead to complete fuel system replacement. As you may guess, it's not a cheap fix at all, but rather a complex repair that would often cost over $10,000. Excessive oil consumption and premature engine wear were common as well, so no one was surprised by Ram's decision to drop this engine from offer a couple of years ago. Number 3. GM 3.0 Duramax inline-6 turbo diesel. GM introduced a diesel engine in its half-ton pickups a little bit later, in 2020, in models like Silverado 1500 and the Sierra 1500. And it really brought a big refreshment in the way that, although a diesel, the engine was very smooth and refined. Moreover, it offered plenty of torque and imposed itself as an excellent fuel-efficient alternative to V8s. Even though the inline-6 configuration provides better balance and longevity, the engine started to show problems soon after its launch. Early model years had problems with timing chain stretch and oil pump belt failures. But probably the biggest issue with this generally good engine is in the way some of the parts were designed. The best example is the aforementioned oil pump belt, which is located so deep inside the engine that you have to remove the transmission to reach and replace it. So you can imagine the labor cost of something that would normally be a relatively basic service. The 3-liter Duramax also has big problems with glow plug failures, notorious for premature breakage that usually leads to catastrophic engine damage if pieces fall into the combustion chamber. GM even issued a recall a couple of years ago, and just like Ram's EcoDiesel, the Duramax also suffers from CP4 pump issues that could damage the complete fuel system if it fails and leads to super expensive repairs. This inline-6 engine is still available in new Silverado and Sierra models, and even though it's an impressive unit in terms of power and fuel efficiency, it has a couple of serious reliability issues, and it's way too expensive to maintain for an average truck owner, who clearly won't benefit much from excellent MPG ratings. Number 2. Ford 6.7 Powerstroke Diesel. Things in the heavy-duty segment aren't much different when it comes to diesel engines. They still cause a lot of trouble. Ford's 6.7-liter V8 is a perfect example. It was introduced back in 2011 and was the first in-house alternative to the previous Navistar-built diesels. And it showed problems right away, so early versions are probably the least reliable ones. The way turbocharged was designed, with ceramic ball bearings, was the key reason for so many turbocharger failures, and it wasn't and still isn't a cheap fix. Typical diesel engines, like EGR cooler clogging, were common too, while high-pressure pump failures would typically lead to the replacement of a complete fuel system, including injectors, a repair that would usually cost over $10,000. A newer version of the engine brought a larger turbo and redesigned fuel system, but certain issues persisted. Models produced after 2017 are prone to exhaust valve failures, which can often lead to catastrophic engine damage and complete replacement. Other typical diesel issues, like DEF-related problems, have been troubling the Powerstroke through all these years. The best choice is probably the versions introduced after 2020, with a stronger block, upgraded turbocharger, and Denso fuel system. But you can't beat the complex design of diesel engines, so it still costs a fortune to maintain, especially if we consider that potential CP4 fuel pump issues are still there. Number 1. Ford F-150 Hybrid. Back in 2021, Ford introduced a hybrid version of its super popular truck based on a 3.5-liter EcoBoost engine. The critical reception was initially great due to impressive system power and solid efficiency, but soon after, things started to change as problems started to occur. One of the first issues that appeared was battery related, in the way that the hybrid system would occasionally experience charging problems, where the battery wouldn't fully charge. Furthermore, the truck wouldn't engage in electric-only mode, so all F-150 hybrids eventually ended up at dealers for better calibration. Other electrical glitches were common too, and these would often lead to software issues that manifested in poor throttle response, inactive fuel economy readings, and failure at the start-stop systems. Towing was another problem with the F-150 hybrid, as the hybrid system under load would display warnings related to overheating or battery protection. So owners would never be able to enjoy max output and therefore max performance during performance sessions. Finally, the whole system doesn't feel particularly refined, and the integration between the gas engine and electric power is anything but seamless. Many owners already express big concerns regarding the cost of repairs, which altogether leads us to the conclusion that Ford has not done a particularly great job with designing this system, and that it may be smart to stick to gas-only versions if long-term reliability and low maintenance cost is one of your key concerns. Models after 2023 have shown improvements with a more refined hybrid system and better software integration. But overall, this is still the worst powertrain option the F-150 has to offer. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.